Hello everybody and welcome back to Video Game Therapy. Today we're going to be talking about extraordinary and why, by definition, not everyone can be extraordinary. This is one of those VGTs where I've been thinking about a thing and I just need to get it out of my head. In other words, I'm not sitting down thinking I need to record a VGT. What's something I want to talk about? Like last week. I've been reading a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Frick by Mark Manson, and I recommend everybody read it. And I'm like 60 pages in, and I'm reading it and I'm thinking, this is what I've come to learn over the past year and a half. And it's what I'm afraid to tell people. The ideas it covers are nothing new. It's just really important. And, you know, if I read it 2 years ago, I'd be like, but I read it now and I'm like, yeah, no, it's the harsh, not the harsh truth, but the harsh truth. And I don't know, Manson, I followed Manson on social media for a while. I read this book, part of it at least ages ago, I think, because my sister had it, but now I'm like actually reading it. And anyway, the second chapter of the book's called You're Not Special. And I don't know, the whole book is just, I'm reading through and I'm like, wow, I wish not only do I wish I read this 2 years ago, but I wish, I would have been in the open mind to accept what it's saying. Anyway, in this chapter, he talks about how people either think I'm the best and therefore I should be given special treatment, or I'm the worst and therefore I should be given special treatment. And that this mentality is worsened by social media because on social media, we see the best of the best or the worst of the worst. We scroll through all the average content on Instagram and we see the best ones. We remember the best ones. And that's when we see the best ones, we think, oh, why can't that be me? Or it's when we see the worst ones, we think, fail compilation, funny. And he talks about how this is, 99.99% of the population. That makes sense. Sorry, the 99.9999 percentile is people who are quote unquote extraordinary. There's two ends of the bell curve of extraordinary, right? And everyone's average. Everyone's average. Anyway, the example I'm going to use in this is grades, because this is something I've thought about for a long time, and it's fascinating that I'm reading this idea, I'm thinking about it, and this is a perfect context to put this rant about grades in. In my high school, there's a lot of pressure, and I'm sure in many high schools, even, many colleges, many schooling systems, there's a lot of pressure to get all A's, to get all perfect scores. And, excuse me, there's always that pressure. But where does that pressure come from? It comes from wanting to be the best of the best. It comes from wanting to be extraordinary. You see someone get 100 on their test and you think, damn, I wish I was smart. But in reality, you studied for maybe 15 minutes and they studied for about 4.5 hours the previous day. This is something I came to realize a long time ago. I read something called The Mundanity of Excellence. And I came to realize that people put in practice hours, days, weeks, lifetimes of practice to get good at some things. I haven't done jack. The best pianists will practice for tens of thousands of hours. I've practiced since the second grade for like 11 years, sure, but I haven't played in about 2 years. So, 9 years. And even then I practiced very little because I had no motivation to do it. For coding, I just simply haven't worked in project. That's part of the reason, one of the main motivations for my devlog is just to do it, to get the experience, to get rapid feedback and learn. But anyway, that's not what this is about. Back on the grades thing, you see these people get high scores and you think, oh, I want to do that. Or the people who get really low scores and, that doesn't apply so much. But what I was thinking about when I was reading Mark's book, it's funny because his name is Mark too. So I don't know why that's funny, it should be the same name. I was reading Manson's book. I was thinking about this bell curve of normalcy, bell curve of extraordinariness, right? And on one end, you have all the people getting the Fs. On the other end, you have all the people getting the Omega grades, the A stars, the A pluses. In the middle, you got everyone getting Bs and Cs. Ds, maybe. If you don't know what a bell curve is, look up bell curve on Google Images, and you will see it. It is a curve that starts at 0 on the left, ends at 0 on the right, and goes up in the middle, like a nice curvy mountain. Yeah, and the higher the graph, the more people are at that spot. So if you have all the way to the left, you have Fs, and all the way to the right is As. The graph is going to be highest, have the largest volume, sorry, the largest area in the middle, because that's average. Thing is, the world we seem to live in doesn't push average. It doesn't make average seem, not that it doesn't make average seem cool, but it doesn't make average seem acceptable. Now, one thing I've realized, and I realized this in high school, was that I don't need all A's. I still feel bad when I don't get an A. For like a minute, I've gotten much better with it, because I'm like, okay, B, I'll take it. C, ooh, should have worked harder. But if you look up grade, now in the US, 60% is an F, 70 is a C, 80 is a B, 90 is an A, 100 is an A+, whatever. If you look up what those grades mean, F is failure. Just total, you have to not show up to class to get an F. A D is you're performing below where you should be. Maybe you need to move a grade back. Maybe you need to retake the class. C is you are performing as you should be. You are at the level that you should be at. So in reality, everyone should be getting C's. Most people should be getting C's. And B is, you're above average, and A is, you are excelling. And so everyone should be at the B and C range. B is, you've pushed yourself. You've really learned the material. A star, A+ is, dare I say, extraordinary. But the thing is, there's this standard. And, in my high school, there was a standard. And from people I've spoken to, this is pretty much everywhere. There's this standard of needing to be extraordinary. But the problem is, look at that bell curve image if you have it, or, bring it to your mind's eye. Suppose everyone becomes extraordinary. That top of the curve goes all the way to the right. And suppose there aren't even people who are extraordinary in the negative sense. Every single person gets 100. They work hard. Then they're just average. You've gotten a perfect score. Every single person around you has gotten a perfect score on an exam. It's kind of not really exciting, is it? And congratulations, first of all, you did really well in the exam. But then, if everyone's doing that, then no one's extraordinary. Everyone is average. So there's this weird juxtaposition, dare I say, between everyone should be extraordinary, ads and stuff. It's like, you aren't extraordinary without our product. It creates a need. Actually, I would say it plays on the need for people needing to be extraordinary, but everyone deserves to be amazing. Everyone can change the world. Everyone deserves whatever. Are just dangerous, because no, you don't need that. You don't need to be extraordinary. Being average is totally okay. If you don't want to be average, then aim to be extraordinary. But if you get an exam and you get an 84, just remember you're where you need to be. And if you get a 65, then I didn't study hard enough, study more next time. It's for a long time, I would get an A on an exam, right? And I remember actually one example, my calculus class, my senior year, I struggled quite a bit. My first exam, I got like a 73, I believe. It was a low C. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. Next exam, I got a 68, I think. And I was like, whew. And I studied pretty hard for an exam. I don't really know how to study still, but I studied in the way that I thought I knew how, and I got a 98. And I was really happy because I had learned, okay, I can work hard and actually get this. And that was the only time I ever felt like that. Because every other time I've gotten an A, maybe an exception this past semester, but I get an A in cognition. It's a sigh of relief. It's not, yes, I got an A. It's, oh, okay, I did the adequate work to get an A. My linguistics class, I was worried about getting an A-. It's not exciting. Operating systems, getting an A-, that was thrilling because I was expecting a B+. But even then, there's still this expectation that, everyone got an A or whatever. It's just a very dangerous mindset. But anyway, it's really upsetting that, I'm caught up in it. Many people are caught up in it. I guess I'm aware that I'm caught up in it now, and I guess I have been for about a year of just, I don't have to be extraordinary. In order to be extraordinary, you have to be ordinary, right? Suppose, take YouTube, for example. I bring that up in like every other VGT, but the big YouTubers, Ali Abdaal, Ludwig, Critical, they're all, those are like 3 of the 5, Game Grumps is 4 of the 5 creators that I like seek out because I don't have recommendeds on. But anyway, they're like extraordinary, but they've been doing it for so long. And Ali Abdaal is very clear about this. He says that he's made, like, he didn't get 1,000 until he made 50 videos or something. He's been doing it for 3.5 years. And, you know, that's why, you know, consistency and patience. And that's a lesson I've taken to heart. But it's like we release a video on YouTube and we immediately think, oh, it's not performing well. My latest devlog has 110 views, I think. It's, God, all my arrows are red. It's, you know, the 4th out of 10th. But if I look back to 2 months ago, my top performing video had 20 views after 2 weeks instead of 110 in a week. Excuse me. And it's just, I don't know. You know, you get an A, last time you got a C, congratulations. Excuse me. There's just this weird pull for everyone to be extraordinary, and it simply cannot happen because by definition of extraordinary, and Manson says this, excuse me, says this in his book as well, by definition of extraordinary, not everyone can be extraordinary, because as everyone becomes extraordinary, then everyone becomes average, and therefore they're not extraordinary. And yeah, I don't know, I wanted to get some thoughts out about that because it's okay to just be average, because everyone ends up either seeking out ways to be extraordinary in the positive, and you know, to the right side of the bell curve of, okay, I'm going to be extraordinary, so I'm going to study for 6 hours a day or whatever. They seek to be extraordinary by pushing themselves arguably too hard. For example, me, I spend way too much time, quote unquote, working on things. You know, is it personal projects or is it free time? I have no idea, and that's not good. I'm working on that. But what's also dangerous is that people who, and I want to be careful with my words, but I don't think I'm going to be as careful as I should be here. People who choose to give up on that, people who choose to give up on, you know, you upload a YouTube video, it doesn't immediately go viral. You give up on being extraordinary. I could never do it. You gotta fight that, first of all. You gotta fight that. You know, do what you need to do. Read. I think the reason why I'm in this mindset now is because of reading books and hearing people talk about how long it's taken them to get to where they are. Anyway, and then there's, you know, so there's people who give up. They go to the other extreme. They go to the other extraordinary, and that is, my life is so much worse than yours. Therefore, I deserve more attention. Also, this is going to be a hot take as well, but all the people, I hear a lot of stories about people going to professors and claiming that they need, you know, assistance for a test or whatever, and it's because of this, and this. But people complain about those things, but they're just average college student problems. Granted, I don't know, this gets into risky territory. This is just like a rant that I have, but first of all, there are difficulties that we need to address, you know? Anxiety, very serious. Depression, very serious. Those aren't the things I'm talking about. What I am talking about is when you get a bad grade in a test and you go cry to a professor about it. I've heard people do that. It's like, that's not on them. Don't ask for special treatment for that. Because you're just normal. Everyone's gone through that. Everybody has gotten a worse grade than they wanted. But depending on if you go and cry to your teacher or say, I'm going to work harder next time. So, you know, if a grade is genuinely unfair, then obviously whatever. But I don't know. I feel like I'm getting into risky territory, so forgive me if I've said anything wrong. But yeah, it's not people's fault either. That's actually something I want to say. Not my fault, it's my responsibility. It's not people's fault that this is normal behavior anymore. It's in a large way society. It's this academic culture of you need an A to be successful. You need to be extraordinary to be successful. And so when people get average grades, very normal grades, they think this is horrible. My life is over. Trying to think of an experience of my own. I don't want this to come across weird. Like in algorithms, I got a C, my basic algorithms class. I have fully accepted that that's just because I didn't do the adequate amount of work. It was difficult for me. I put more time into that class than I did my other classes. But that doesn't mean I should get special treatment. Oh, I'm not smart at math. Oh, no, I'm not smart at math, but Okay, put in more hours to it. If you're not good at something, like someone else might be, then put in more hours. Linguistics. Taking Linguistics 1, I understood that stuff. I don't know why, but when we got to syntax trees and morphological analysis, my brain was like, easy. Easy clap. But then when we got to phonology, that was a little tougher. It took me a lot more work and pretty much bombed that section of the final, and I thought, I've never really studied for this class. And that's not to say I'm better than anyone at linguistics or whatever. Like, I took intro to semantics, it just made sense to me. But operating systems didn't make as much sense to me. I took a lot longer. Things aren't supposed to come naturally to you. We see people who those things come naturally to. My cat's scratching the door, please excuse me. We see what people naturally gravitate to because that's what the world promotes. You want to see someone be so good at math, they solved some big problem. You want to see someone be so good at computer programming, they made an entire game on their own. But it's okay to be average. You know, I'm making a game right now, and I want it to be, you know, the next Undertale or the next Stardew Valley, where it's a small team, small indie game, but huge game, massively successful, makes people feel things, but it's not. I doubt it's gonna happen. I don't need to be extraordinary. I just want to make a game, and I want it to do well. It doesn't need to do extraordinarily well compared to other video games. In fact, I don't expect it to even. But there's just this, I'm gonna make the next Undertale. I'm gonna make the next Stardew Valley. I'm gonna make the first Seashell, and we'll see how it goes. That's really all there is to it. I'm gonna be the first Mark Bacon devlog typing productivity language channel. That's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to say today is don't get caught up in the extraordinary, because if someone's extraordinary at something, they're gonna be average at everything else, and perhaps even negatively extraordinary at everything. I shouldn't have said negatively, but you know, for my classes, I'll say I was extraordinary at linguistics, at least the morphology part. I only say that because I'm confused at how easily that stuff came to me. Not came to me. I put in very little work. I read the chapter, I would do the practice problems, and I'd be like, yeah, that checks out. I saw the patterns, it just made sense. So in that sense, maybe I was above average of the class in terms of just being able to, not just being able to understand it, but, you know, having a good incentive, the mind that just, it kind of clicks. On the other hand, though, you know, in my terms of average, I'd say I'm an average programmer, probably a little below average even. Solving problems takes me a while, but I can pick up new languages pretty quickly because I've experimented with so many different languages. I've been doing scripting in Tabletop Simulator, and one of my group mates said like, oh, that's awesome, like coding something. And I was like, I mean, I didn't really say anything, but oh, that's unfortunate. I just kind of thought anyone could really do this. You know, I've been in Java, C, C++, Python. Really, it's not that different than anything else. It's just experiential based, and that's why I was fine at it. To others, that might seem extraordinary though, because they've never done it before. And you know, on the negative extraordinary, I'm plenty of places down there. Social behavior, just, you know, an inability to. Maybe I'm not too socially inept, or at least not as inept as I used to be. Anyway, you know, math, for example, right? I like math, but it takes me a long time to I have to practice a lot of problems to do it. Practice a lot of problems to learn it efficiently. So don't focus on what other people are extraordinary at, because you have your own extraordinary, right? On the bell curve of linguistics, I'm at the right. On the bell curve of programmers, I'm in the middle. At the bell curve of mathematicians, I'm on the far left. Just because I see, you know, Terrence Tao pull off a cool ass proof, I'm not gonna be like, oh, man, I suck at math, because that's not normal. Terrence Tao. Anyway, hopefully I have the right name there, but yeah, it's kind of all I want to talk about today. Hopefully not too much of a hot take, but the subtle art is just, the book is, it's showing me that it's okay to say these things and have these thoughts, because it's true. I mean, if I told myself that a year and a half ago, I'd be like, no. But you know, sometimes you just gotta look crap in the eye and be like, yeah. I do seek special behavior because I think my scenario is unique. It's just not. We're all human. That's all for today, folks. Thanks so much for watching and or listening. Let me know what you think, as always, in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to stay awesome. See you next week.